Okay, picture this. You're floating, weightless, in the big blue ocean. Sunbeams are cutting down through the water. And then, out of the blue, a shape forms, a shark.
Mm-hmm.
That very first moment, how you react, like right then, those first few seconds, that could change everything. It's really about shifting from pure instinct to, well, understanding.
Exactly right. And that's really what we're getting into today, this thing called the rule of 7 seconds.
Right.
It's a really practical method, actually, designed for freedivers when they meet sharks. But
Mhm.
honestly, the ideas behind it, they give us a great way to think about how we handle any surprise encounter in nature, with more calm, more awareness.
Okay, so it's broader than just sharks then. This deep dive we're doing, it's based on a guide for free divers, but the core idea, the rule of 7 seconds, it's about learning how to manage that initial shock, that surprise, and move towards a more thoughtful reaction.
Precisely. Our mission, really, is to unpack this rule, see how it works, and figure out how its approach observing first. Then understanding can actually be useful for, well, anyone who's curious about wildlife and how we fit responsibly into the picture.
Okay, let's get into it. This rule of 7 seconds, what's the absolute core principle? Like the main takeaway?
The fundamental idea, really, is that those first 7 seconds of seeing a shark are just crucial. They're pivotal.
Okay.
That short time, it's your window, your chance to consciously watch, start to figure out what the shark's doing, and then make a reasoned choice about your next move. It's about deliberately using those moments to stop potential panic and act based on information.
Right, stopping the panic impulse, okay.
Right.
And the guide breaks down those 7 seconds, yeah, into like phases.
It does. 3 key phases. First
Yeah.
up, seconds 1 to 3 are all about observing the shark.
Okay, so it appears. What do you do? What are the steps?
Right. The guide says 3 things immediately. 1, stop. Stop moving. Just be still. Any sudden flailing can startle it.
Makes sense.
2, calmly turn to face the shark. Keep it in view. And 3, start noticing things. Its size, its shape, how its fins look, colors, patterns, and importantly, how fast it's swimming.
Got it. So a quick visual scan, but why? I mean, beyond just like identifying it, what's the real point of grabbing all that info so fast?
Well, the main goal right then is a rough ID. Even just getting a general sense of the species gives you clues, big clues about how it might normally behave. Think of it like quickly sizing up any situation based on what you see.
Yeah, the guide mentions the difference between, say, a chill blue shark versus maybe a more territorial gray reef shark.
Exactly.
So just like you might read a room full of people, a freediver is trying to quickly read the shark's vibe from these visual cues.
That's a great way to put it. Different species just act differently. So recognizing even a couple of features helps you anticipate maybe just a little what might come next. And that knowledge that lets you respond more thoughtfully instead of just reacting out of fear.
Okay, so first few seconds, visual data collection, got it. Then we hit seconds 4 through 6. Understand the shark's behavior. Sounds like moving from just seeing to actually interpreting.
Precisely. That's exactly it. This bit is all about reading its body language. You're looking for signs, clues about its mood, its intentions. Is it just swimming past? Is it curious, maybe circling a bit? Or does it seem more direct, maybe a little tense?
Okay, and what are we looking for specifically? Like what physical signs might mean the shark's getting agitated or, uncomfortable?
Yeah, the guide points out a few things to watch for. Quick, jerky movements are one sign.
Okay.
Also, if its pectoral fins, the side ones are pointing downwards instead of out flat,
Yeah.
or rapid flicks of its tail, sometimes even an arched back posture, these can all suggest the shark might feel threatened, or it's being territorial, or maybe even asserting dominance.
Right. Definitely things you'd want to notice. What about the opposite? What signals a calmer shark, one that's less of a concern?
A calmer shark usually swims smoothly. Slow, fluid movements. That generally means it's either not interested in you or maybe just a little curious but not worked up about it.
So by reading this language, we can figure out, okay, is this a calm situation where I can just keep watching? Or is this maybe escalating a bit and I need to think about backing off slowly?
Absolutely. It's about moving from pure reaction to an informed response.
Less panic, more thinking.
Exactly. And that understanding directly leads into what you decide in that crucial 7th second. This stage gives you practical insight so you don't freak out unnecessarily, but you also don't underestimate a potentially tricky situation.
Right, okay. We've observed, we've started to understand his behavior. Now we're at second 7. Decide how to react. So based on everything we just processed, what are the options? What actions does the guide suggest?
Well, it lays out a few scenarios. If the shark seemed calm and it's keeping its distance, usually the best thing is just to, stay put, keep observing. If it seems curious, maybe coming a bit closer, but no aggressive signs, stay neutral. Keep that eye contact.
And what if you saw those tense signals earlier? The jerky movements, the fins down.
Right. In that case, the advice is clear. Slowly, deliberately back away. But, and this is really important, always keep facing the shark. Keep it in sight.
Ah, okay.
Definitely don't turn your back. And don't make a sudden bolt for the surface. Just slow, controlled, backward movement.
That makes sense. You don't want to look like fleeing prey, right?
Precisely. You want to avoid triggering that kind of response.
Are there any, general rules that apply no matter how the shark is acting?
Yes, definitely. The guide is very clear. No touching the shark, don't chase it, don't block its path. The whole idea is to give it space and respect its movements.
And wasn't there something about keeping a personal bubble, an arm's length rule?
That's right, yeah. The suggestion is not to let the shark get closer than your arm's reach. It just gives you a tiny buffer, enough space so if it does get too close, you can gently use your hand or fin to guide it away slightly without hitting it or panicking. Again, it's all about staying calm and in control.
It really paints a picture of being non-confrontational, de-escalation,
Yeah.
respect. It sounds like it's not just for the diver's safety, but also for the shark's well-being.
Exactly. Our actions really matter down there. If we respect their space, if we avoid acting threateningly, we make it much less likely they'll react defensively. It benefits everyone.
Okay, let's just quickly nail down this rule of 7 seconds again. So, seconds 1-3, observe. See the shark, note its features.
Yep.
Seconds 4-6, understand, read its body language, gauge its mood. And second 7, decide. Use a calm, appropriate reaction based on all that info.
That's it. A perfect summary. Simple framework, but really powerful when you think about it.
Okay. Now, the guide also has that handy do's and don'ts list. Super practical. Let's cover some key DOs.
Yeah, the do's really just reinforce everything we've talked about. Things like stay calm, stay neutrally buoyant, don't sink or float rapidly, keep a good distance, at least 5 to 7 meters if you can.
Okay, so give it space.
Definitely. Move slowly, fluidly, no sudden jerks. Use that gentle hand guide if absolutely necessary, like we said. And always keep the shark in sight and make sure you know where your exit path is. Keep it clear.
Right, so it's all about being predictable, non-threatening, and aware. What about the don'ts? What should you absolutely avoid doing?
The don'ts are just as important. Number 1, don't touch, chase, or provoke the shark in any way. Seems obvious, but yeah. Also, a big one for spearfishers. Don't carry dead or bleeding fish around sharks. That's just asking for trouble. It can really attract and excite them.
Right, like ringing the dinner bell.
Pretty much. And finally, again, don't surface too fast and don't turn your back on the shark. Those can signal panic or vulnerability.
Got it. These do's and don'ts really make the rule of 7 seconds practical. It's not just those first 7 seconds. It's your whole attitude during the encounter.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how this specific rule, for a potentially scary situation like meeting a shark, actually reflects much bigger ideas about how we should interact with nature generally.
Yeah, the guide mentions that, doesn't it? That it goes beyond just safety. It's part of a philosophy of coexistence. What does that really mean in this context?
Well, I think the really insightful part is the mental shift it encourages. It pushes you away from that gut fear reaction towards something more thoughtful, something based on understanding. It's about changing your mindset from trying to dominate or control the situation to figuring out how to just be there harmoniously within the shark's world.
That feels significant. Moving from fear to understanding, especially in an encounter like that, it feels like a lesson that could apply way beyond diving.
Oh, absolutely. It really highlights respect, doesn't it? The guide kind of reminds us, look, the ocean, that's the shark's home. We're just visitors.
Right. And our behavior needs to reflect that. Respect for their space, their existence.
And this isn't just about feeling good, is it? Our actions have real impact on the ocean's health, on the animals themselves.
Absolutely critical. How we act underwater directly affects our safety, sure, but also the future of these amazing creatures and the whole marine ecosystem. Every responsible interaction adds up.
Yeah.
It helps build a more sustainable, respectful relationship with the ocean.
Wow. So the rule of 7 seconds isn't just like a safety tactic. It's a mini lesson in how to approach the wild. Observe carefully, try to understand with empathy, and then act responsibly.
That's a great way to put it. It's about being mindful, being present respectfully in nature, getting past those knee-jerk reactions, and engaging thoughtfully.
Okay, so summing up, rule of 7 seconds, clear steps for those first moments with a shark. Observe, understand, decide, calmly and respectfully. It's about using information, not just instinct, to guide what you do, for your safety and for the sharks. Exactly. And, at the end of the day, it really underscores how valuable observation, understanding, and calm decision making are. Not just with sharks, but, well, in pretty much any unexpected situation life throws at you.
Really does make you think, right? Like, how often in just regular life do we jump to conclusions or react instantly, instead of taking maybe just a few seconds to really look, really try to understand what's happening before we respond? Maybe that's the bigger takeaway from this rule of 7 seconds, that pause.
That's a really interesting thought. Yeah, maybe just building in that brief pause, that moment to observe and understand before acting. Maybe that could lead to better, more responsible actions everywhere in our lives, not just underwater.
Respect the moment,
Yeah.
act responsibly. That feels like a pretty powerful idea, whether you're, facing a shark or just dealing with everyday stuff.